And hello again. This is the Out of the Mud universe, and Out of the Mud presents Connected and Protected with your host, Dehru Mitchell. And this is the continuation of Black History is Infinite and Not Confined to a Month, Episode 2. And here's Dehru.
Hello. I want to get started with the fact that we have many historians, many historians, and the factors that prevent them from being world known is because they wanted to cut us off from our history. They didn't ever want us to know we were anybody and had done anything. They wanted to perpetually keep us in a state of mind and emotional imbalance to have us feel as though we were truly inferior to those who told the stories and made them that way. But I got news for 'em. And it has always been that even though we didn't get the ability to give out the information from its source on a world basis, some did. Some actually did. And others documented so much of it, stored it away for times such as these. So that was also history, but history prepared for the future. Then we came in to a what we call exposure of information, and that is the worldwide internet and today's times. And you know, people coming to the awareness, you could say waking up or what have you, raising their consciousness, raising their awareness levels, and looking around and seeing each other and saying, hey, somebody had to do something because we're here now. And we have so much that we can attest to, and it had to come from somewhere. Well, I went, as usual, searching through the past, doing research. Okay. These things had already been searched out. And everyone who goes back to see what was searched out is doing research. And those times and those efforts pay off in the fact that as we research, we actually reconnect to things that we know are deep within us, but we have no ability to factualize because they've been so repressed is a word for it, but they've been so well hidden, so well put up, and I don't know how they actually controlled freedom of speech as it was said to be, so that you never could say something about something because the powers that be would remove you. They would, in most cases, unalive you, or you were beholding to your desire to actually know things and document them for posterity. That means you pass it down from generation to generation to generation, even if you can't do it at the time. You hold that information or you seal, as it was said, seal it up in a book. And that book is placed sometimes in a vault. I don't know if y'all ever did it, but I've seen it done that children in grade school did some artistic work or as whatever their thing was at that time at grade school level, and they put it in a little what they call a time capsule, and they sealed it up, and they said we'll open it sometimes in the future, maybe 25 years, maybe 50 years. Okay, and that's what they did. And those people who had um, put in information or whatever at the time, if they were still alive, they were present at the opening of the time capsule, and they would see, wow, was I way back then thinking those thoughts, having those ideals, using my imagination to do this and that and the other, and seeing what had actually came to fruition from those things as they grew older, and maybe even some of them produced something such as an invention, or you know hit a philosophy, or did something great within the scope of what they thought of as a child and sealed it in their time capsule. Anyway, let's get on to you know how many great black people there were in America. I'm gonna start with America because I didn't get a whole lot out of school, elementary, junior high, even senior high. Maybe I wasn't paying attention, or maybe I didn't quite click. And maybe it didn't quite click in my head that history was something to truly be studied, to get the intricate knowledge of it that would promote a sense of self, self esteem, self assuredness, and give you a propensity to do what your heart desires, irregardless as to who didn't want you to or what it would destroy in the paradigms of America that were made subsequent to your not knowing enough of your own history to feel as though you truly existed, you truly had these magnificent abilities that we have, and utilize them and make more of yourself than you maybe even did with the amount of self-esteem, or the amount of, I would just say, total community that you had lifting you up. Because see, we if we think about it, we can always hold ourselves in high esteem, no matter in what on what level of life we're on. Because I never really considered that a person could truly hate themselves, even though some say they have. But I never really considered that. I could consider that they were totally confused as to why it was projected on them to hate themselves, but never understood that a person could find no redeeming qualities within themselves to say, I'm this, or I'm all, or a part of that all. I'm gonna leave that alone. But okay, say some of the things I found. Um this was a short on, and it was the journals of abolitionists. It was Charlotte Fortin Grimke. Black history stories most people don't know. And this woman did some magnificent things. Um, First of all, let's do her parents. Her parents, I forget the other person's name, but her parents sponsored Frederick Douglass. They had money. They were in the political civil rights area of black people, and this was back in the 1800s. I said in the 1800s, you know, when slavery was supposed to be this magnanimous monster that just consumed black people. Some people didn't encounter slavery to the extent that they were totally subjected to it. Matter of fact, an abolitionist is one who fought against slavery. And my first true understanding of slavery being um, something that was projected on someone came from, I think it was the curious story of Oaluda Equilanos. This was a great one. The African, or by a pseudonym or another name, Gustavus Vassi. He served people, and in most cases, he was considered a slave. But truth be known, some of the people he had with or he was with depended on him for their life because they were going into unknown territories with unknown people that he was very familiar with, had knowledge of, and was a part of himself. And the short story, he bought his own slavery. I mean, he bought himself out of slavery. He wrote a book. That's his the autobiography of Oluda Equilanos. And I found it quite magnanimous. It was magnificently magnanimous that he learned Christianity so well as to go before the Queen of England, I believe it was, and get his freedom, n- more or less, or moreover, rather. He also got a stipend for his life services, which we would call a retirement. Okay. And with that, he wrote his book, he got it published by donations and so on and so forth. And he managed to live, I guess you would say, comfortably during the time when he also fought as an abolitionist to end slavery in Europe. The Sons of Liberty, they were called. I believe that's what it was. But this was back there in the 1800s or so, maybe even latter 1700s or 1900s, early or late 1800s. Anyway, you know, Charlotte Fortin Grimsky, her journals of abolitionists, you have to look it up. I didn't go into it that much. But it was an autobiography of a black woman who did things. And then you have Henry Baker, born in 1857. He dared to reveal the multitude of black inventions. Now, hear this 1857, dared to reveal the multitude of black inventions when, just say, the world tried to silence him and those inventions. In 1877, Baker joined the U.S. Patent Office, okay, as a copyist. He noticed black inventors were invisible in official records. Determined to change this, he began sending thousands of letters to uncover their names and achievements. Now, that was that you'll see. However, many feared revealing their identities due to their businesses being devalued and violence. Okay, remember this was in the 1800s. And violence, such as lynchings. Baker's work was not just about documentation, it was about challenging racist myths that claimed Black Americans were incapable of innovation. His findings were showcased at international exhibitions like the Paris Exposition in 1900. Now, why wasn't that done in America? No, it couldn't happen. But it was done in Paris. That just goes to show you that um, even though Europeans came, invaded, conquered, so on and so forth, not just America, Africa. And I mean Europeans to the point that Spanish, Portugal, all of those places over there, they carved up Africa like it was a pie. Okay. Anyway, pie or cake, however you want to put it, because they cut it in block slices and so on and so forth. Anyway, his findings were showcased at international exhibitions like the Paris Exposition in 1900. Baker compiled 4 large volumes of patent drawings to preserve their legacy. I don't know the names of the books yet. I'll include them next time I come in. And you know, as I said, they're documented and preserved. They're put up. Matter of fact, I don't know if they're available to the public today, even in libraries, or if they're, in an archival situation where, you might could find them in a museum, library, or something of that nature, or a university library, so on and so forth. Okay, so we do have a magnanimous amount of information of blacks doing things in history. And I'm not just talking about those Africans that started in Egypt, because I subsequently found out that the height that we know of Egyptian civilization was during its decline. From the first pharaonic uh, 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 um, dynasty that we know of to the last one. This was on its way down. Truly, in other words, that how we see that the Egyptians were considered gods. This was in the last stages when Greece and Rome and all of these other people copied those gods and turned them into their gods, supposedly, so that we can have them as our gods because they promoted them. They changed their names and gave them different, supposedly, attributes that they always had. And for one, I think I remember that Imhotep, the multi genius, his name was changed to Asclepius. Figure that. That's pretty much the way that went. I mean, Dr. Ivan Van Sertima, all of the black scholars, all of the black prominent, professional, or professors, archaeologists, all of these people who did those things in research and the passing down of knowledge so that we would get it, which I got a little bit of, and I cherish it. You know, I hold those people in very high esteem because they suffered the indignity of being told no at every turn. I mean, Dr. Ivan Van Sertima, oh, no, 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 we can't do that. It would show that black people were able to do much more than us. This is a European talking, a European curator of a museum, that is. No, we can't do that. Just like the nose and the chin splinters. I spoke of this last time. Was not was sent to Egypt, but at that time the Arabians had the tourist trade of Egypt, and they would not allow the nose and the chin to be put back on the Sphinx because it would show Negroid features, and that would ruin the tourist trade of the day. And guess what? That was capitalism in its finest. Always have. Okay. But now, um, let's take a break here. I got something that I found to be a tad bit insightful. How many senses do we have that we know of? Some may know, some may not know. But I'm going to go here with it because we all consider that we have five senses, right? But we don't have five senses. We have 15 to count. I say 16, but I'll go that one some other time. I've 15 to count. First, you are a spirit. You live in a body and you have a soul. So let's start with the lesser of the three because it's limited by the physical, okay? And that's the body. It's limited by the physical. It's ruled by the seen. It's ruled by the seen. Its five senses are sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch. Basic, surface level. These you know. This is soul. Second, this is soul. This is where reprogramming starts. Your mind, what you think, your will, your drive to act, your emotions, what you feel, your affections, who you feel it for, and your imagination, your ability to see what isn't visible yet. Together, that's 10 senses. Okay. Now, this is the operating system. Your aff- you your aff- your affirmations. This is what you tap into. Now, the spirit. This is where your transformation goes quantum. Prayer, speaking truth to the divine. Praise, declaring truth to your reality. Worship, aligning with the highest version of yourself. Faith, belief beyond evidence. And meditation. What do we do? Meditation, pure focus, not five, but 15. And when you learn to reprogram the ones you can't see, oh my goodness, you unlock the version of you that was always waiting. How about that? Okay. Um, I've got a few more. There's Martin Robertson Delaney, dubbed the father of black nationalism. Hey, how about that? We got a father of something. You know, the founding fathers were all those other guys. We got a founder of something. He said the father of black nationalism, born in 1812, the condition, elevation, immigration, and destiny of the colored people of the United States. And he founded in 1843 a certain part of town in Pittsburgh. Okay. And then I have to get this guy his too. His name is Robin Walker. He has he did a study in the African history in Sudan. That was amazing. Anyway, the Black History Man explains is the name of this video. The Black History Man explains why Black history was buried. He explains it. And guess what else? He also explains how to dig it up. So, you know, he went about a whole lot of anthropology work to devise a lot of this information and categorize it and put it in plain terms so it can be understood with dates. And I mean dates. We tend to think that certain things happen in a little bit of time. But you know, the Bible has words such as eons, eras, and um, you know, a day is as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as a day. To tell you that time has a ability to encapsulate events, whole hmm, whole amounts of knowledge that can be termed as history, can be termed as lineage, can be termed as bloodlines. Beg your pardon? Okay. And given the knowledge that, you know, finding these things and promoting these things in yourself, you would you ever think that the thing you did great yesterday is history today? And what you're thinking today is promoting a future that will also become history. We should never debilitate ourselves. That means hold ourselves up, hold ourselves back, give ourselves excuses for not living within our greatness. We all got brains. I don't care how much they're impaired to the extent of what you have learned in life or the things that have caused you to have problems in life. I mean, anything from environmental to home life to whatever, circumstance. However, we still have a certain ability to hold within ourselves a knowledge of ourselves that say we are alive and we are due to live a life according to what we desire, or according to what we desire and what we choose to do with our lives. Irregardless, you know, there's those inner things in us that cause us to come online at points in time, which makes it thoroughly necessary to reevaluate on a continuous basis to reach levels in life that You know, we may consider, but never truly put forth the effort to achieve. And, you know, some things come about as time goes on because truly experiences learning. And that's another reason why history was kept from us. Because I'm gonna do a little reaching here, maybe, but I would dare say that the collective mind, the mind of people all around the world, affects each other. So as to say, even if certain people went through slavery at certain times and different times and in times and before times, irregardless, they say it's in our DNA that those memories exist. It's in our DNA that those things are felt. And at what time they actually just say whelm up in you, the time when you become sensitive to them, doesn't really matter. They're going to hit you because you're a part of an eternity and all of eternity. You know, they're at an appointed time, at a given time, at a now time, at a before time, at an end time. You know, but is it hard to consider? I'll just say consider. I ain't gonna say imagine. Is it hard to consider that if someone is experiencing pain due to someone else causing that pain, that we would not at some point, those who are of the same nature, of the same, those who are of the same people, you know, would also feel that pain. I mean, if it happened then, it's happening now, it happened over there, you're going to feel it wherever you are. It's a collective, it's a cumulative thing that, if I experience it, you're going to experience it at some point in life because it happens in life. That's how history is made, and that's what we look to the future with. So, this is one episode of many, and I'm going to give you a premonition of the next one. Yeah, I'm going to give you a premonition of the next one. Oh, wow. Okay. Hmm. Let's see here. Oh, yeah. We take into consideration when America is mentioned. We're only talking about North America. But you do know there's three Americas, right? There's North America, Middle America, and South America. And guess what? Things happened in history throughout all of the Americas, including the islands that were claimed by America or American made. And not just by America was it made, but it was people taken from America to these islands and made to do things that were attributed to America. And that could have been South America, Middle America, or North America. And in the sense that you know we're so condensed, we're so captured, we're so not slaves of, but enslaved to a small picture that we're such a minute amount of people as to be a minority when we are a worldwide population that is more numerous in the oneness of itself than all of the previous, let's say, populations that separated from us, that fractured off, that became, other distinct nations of people and call themselves whatever they want to. Everything from Chinese to um, Italian, whatever, you know. But melanated beings, nevertheless. Even like Hitler found out, oh no, the person that he sent to say that there was one pure Aryan bloodline, and that person that told him that had to run for his life because he told him, no, I cannot say this. There are no people on the planet that doesn't have black blood. I said that last time. I said it again, and probably again and again, because that's the case. At one time, there was nothing but dark skinned melanated people. Now people are all over the planet, some with so little melanin as to be pink. You can see some call them blue bloods. Some are so pink that you can see the red corpuscles through their skin. Others, let's not go there. Anyway, we have a totality in population that says if we all got that hive mind or that 100 monkey effect throughout the melanated population of beings on this planet, I believe that at the earliest ages of Egyptian astonishment or the early Egyptians' wonderment, where they did some things that defy the ability of man to do today, even with all of his technology, that was done with that type of mental energy of people who had levels of it because of their melanin, which this has been so diluted now over the periods of time that this has happened. Some people would call it terraforming, but you take the levels of energy that must have existed on this planet with the beings that some would say came out of the planet because it is said we came from the waters and the waters are of the planet and so on and so forth. And then the ground surfaced and so on and so forth. And the water elements came onto the land and, people became according to evolution and so on and so forth. But then as a thought process of creation, the imagination, the heart and the mind of a source being operating in vibration and frequencies allowed us to lower ourselves into this third dimensional plane, which at one point in time was only two-dimensional because they was putting everything down on paper. You understand? And that was the proof that some life was existing. But then for eons and eras of time, nothing was written down. But we passed that information on. I'll say it again, from lip to ear. And that's why the word became God, because it was heard from his lips to our ears in vibrations, tones, frequencies, and so on and so forth. Anyway, I have such a desire to share this knowledge of our history, which is going to reconnect us to ourselves. Let us know we're the people that we are. Understand? Let us know that we are the same source material as the source that we came from. And as a cumulative as a and just let's keep it as a community with all of the sectors a community has. Bring it all together. It's like that atom with all of those neurons and electrons and protons and all of those other things going around and spinning around. And in a sense, that's what the actual image of source is. You can call it whatever you want to call it. I say source because we are still energy, and energy doesn't dissipate. It goes nowhere. It goes from one level to another, but it doesn't ever end. So that should tell you something about us. No. And with that, I'm going to continue into the next episode with Black history is infinite, cannot be confined to a month.